What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I wanted to run through my US Men's National Team World Cup qualifying team for the upcoming window. This is my team, not a official roster or what I expect Greg Berhalter to bring. I'll do what I expect Berhalter to bring tomorrow, and I'm limiting this to a 23-man squad. That's what we bring during tournaments, and probably what we should be bringing to teams like this, but just jumping into it. I'm going to be going through the team I believe should be brought, then I'll explain any controversial opinions, and then go through what I believe the starting lineup should be. So yeah, starting things off, we got in goal. I would like to have Zack, Steffen, Matt Turner, and Ethan Horvath. At the center back position, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, John Brooks, and Walker Zimmerman. At fullback, Serginho Dest, Joe Skelly, Reggie Cannon, Anthony Robinson is the lone left back. At defensive mid, Tyler Adams and Tanner Tessmann. At more offensive-minded, like center mid/8s, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musah, Gianluca Busio, Luca de la Torre. At wing, Christian Pulisic, Brenden Arronson, Nicolas Gioacchini, and Matthew Hoppe. And up front, Ricardo, Pepi, and Jordan Pefok. This is assuming that Tim Weah, Gio Reyna, and Conrad de la Fuente are all unavailable. Weah and Reyna both have long-term injuries. Conrad just picked up a knock. I'm assuming that all three of them won't be available for selection. So, starting things off, I want to explain Ethan Horvath over Sean Johnson. While this is just the third choice goalkeeper, the argument that I'm going to be making is kind of relevant later on, so I wanted to just put it out here at the beginning. Ethan Horvath, while he hasn't been playing lately, he hasn't played since September. Do keep in mind that Sean Johnson hasn't played since, early December in the MLS Cup final. And Ethan Horvath, despite being ice cold at the moment, he's not playing at all. He was also ice cold during the Nations League when he came in. He hadn't played a game at Club Brugge. Maybe a dead rubber Champions League game, I believe, maybe a cup game. He wasn't playing at all, and he came into the Nations League off the bench and played great. Because of that, I believe Ethan Horvath has that ability. And I'm looking at him and Sean Johnson. Both of them haven't been playing lately. And honestly, I believe Ethan Horvath's the better player. We've seen the types of saves he can make. We know he's pretty good on the ball, and because of that, I would rather have the best players available. And I'm making such a big deal out of the third choice goalkeeper because we're still in a pandemic. And there's a non-0% chance that an outbreak could happen within this team. And should that, I want the best players to be available. So every single player in this team, it's because I believe their quality. I don't want to just throw a bone to an MLS champion. I don't want to throw Gabriel Slonina in this team because I want him to get experience. We need to bring the best players possible because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, that's my opinion on the third choice goalkeeper. Now going on to center back, I don't feel like I really need to explain anything. I feel like that group of four is pretty set in stone. Hopefully Berhalter won't screw anything up by not calling up Brooks. But maybe Cameron Carter-Vickers is knocking on the door, but something with Cameron Carter-Vickers I've talked about before, he's kind of he goes up levels a lot because he's getting loaned to a bunch of different teams, and it usually takes him a little bit to adjust to it, so it might be a rough first game for him at a competitive international level. So I don't want to put Cameron Carter-Vickers into this team until it's undeniable that he should be in the team. And at the moment, maybe you could make an argument. It's not undeniable. Now going on to fullback and Reggie Cannon. I want him in the team because he's finally started playing again, and I think that puts him above DeAndre Yedlin, who's been on the bench recently and is more of a high floor player than a guy we really believe is good. Reggie Cannon, he's been somebody who we've been really high on for a while, and the reason he hasn't been playing for us is because he hasn't been playing at Boa Vista, because he wanted that move out of the club, and because of that, he was kind of in the doghouse when he stayed. It's unfair but understandable. And now that he's playing again, he's been doing very well defensively in a right-sided center back role. He's been doing well offensively in a right wing back role. And I believe he's a very talented player. We've been high on him for a while, and I think he's good enough that he should be included over Yedlin, who hasn't been playing at Galatasaray, someone like a Brian Reynolds who hasn't been playing, Brooks Lennon, not that great, and with Joe Skelly and Serginho Dest's ability to play on the left-hand side, I'd include him over a George Bello and include him over a Sam Vines, and I just believe they're better players. I believe he's our fourth best wingback at the moment, and he should be in the team because of that. Now, going up to the sixth position, the defensive mid, and Tanner Tessmann over Kellen Acosta is probably the toughest decision I had to make, and this is not due to the quality of Tanner Tessmann. I'm not going to pretend that he's the greatest player we have available, he's going to change games for us. Like, he was just pulled out of a Serie A game in the first half because he wasn't playing well. Like, I'm not going to pretend that Tanner Tessmann's this great player, but I'm looking at Kellyn Acosta and his limited technical ability. And this is a 3-game window. Should this have been a 2-game window, I'd probably include Kellyn Acosta. But there's a good chance we'll have to rotate Tyler Adams this window, and I don't trust Kellyn Acosta to start. And that's because of his extremely limited technical ability. If you don't believe me, just go back and watch that Bosnia game. If Kellyn Acosta is in a team, we will not be able to build attacks through the midfield. He is so limited technically in his ability that I would not risk starting him under any situation because he's not a good enough player technically. Our build-up will be non-existent with him playing, and it's been non-existent with him playing in the midfield every time he started for us. So he's not good enough a technical player to start for this team, and he might have to start. Should this have been a 2-game window and he would have only had to come off the bench to help seal up a win, I'd be okay with keeping him in the team. I'd still would like Tanner Tessmann to replace him long term, but I believe maybe he should still be in the team. But given the 3-game window, we might have to start a backup 6. I need Tanner Tessmann in this squad because he's our best backup 6. I saw Johnny Cardoso. I'm not too high on him. Someone like Leon Flock, definitely not going to be in the team. I believe Tanner Tessmann is the best guy we have available for the job. He's good enough on the ball to help with the build-up. He is going to be a drop-off from Tyler Adams, but it's not going to be just catastrophic like it would be with Kellyn Acosta. He's still a solid player defensively, and with how much he's been playing in Serie A, how much he's been improving lately, I believe Tanner Tessmann has the quality to be in this team. So yeah, that's why I don't want Kellyn Acosta in the squad. Next on to center mids. I feel like I don't need to explain McKennie, Musah, and I feel like Busio's a lock in the team as well now. He's been playing really well in the Serie A. Like Busio, I will defend a lot. Unlike Tanner Tessmann, who is just kind of in there because I believe he's the only option. But the other guy, Luca de la Torre, I want him in over a bunch of other players because his ability on the ball is something dangerous and something that we could really use. Especially, should he be coming off the bench, I feel like he'd really help the squad. And that's an option that we really needed against a team like Jamaica in the last window, where if we had Luca de la Torre, I feel like we could have won that game if he came in off the bench. His ability to just get the ball, turn forward, he's got a good dribbling ability, he can make great passes. His technical ability is really good. He can play those one-touch triangle passes that can really help. We scored off of some of those in that Jamaica game when Gianluca Busio was in the team because we need midfielders with a high technical ability. And Luca de la Torre, he has that. And honestly, defensively, he's underrated, I believe. I'm looking at him compared to Sebastian Lletget. I like Luca de la Torre more defensively. His work rate is very strong, and I believe he has the ability to really hold up. And just offensively, technically, he's so far ahead of the other midfielders that I really believe we need to have Luca de la Torre in the squad. It sucks for Julian Green. I don't feel like he'll get a chance with us. Sebastian Lletget, I explained in a video why I don't want him in the team. Basically, I don't believe he's good enough technically, and he's much better in end-to-end games, which I don't believe we should be playing games end-to-end. And Christian Roldan, at this point, if you still think he should be in the national team, I'm not going to be able to convince you otherwise. But yeah, that's why I would have Luca de la Torre in the squad. Now moving on to the wings, and Pulisic, Arronson, fine. Nicolas, Gioacchini, and Matthew Hoppe over Paul Arriola and Jordan Morris. So I just want to say with Jordan Morris, I wouldn't be too mad if he's in the team, but after watching him against Bosnia and Herzegovina, I don't believe he's back to himself. I still believe he's not 100%, and I wouldn't risk playing him, and if he's not 100%, I don't think he's better than Gioacchini or Matthew Hoppe. Hell, even if he was, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be mad at him being in the team because based on the information that I have not seen Jordan Morris be back to 100%. But if he's included in the team, then that probably means that in the camp he's proven that he's back to his former self, especially if Aaron Long is left off. So, listen, I wouldn't have him in the team, but if he is in the team, he probably should be. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Jordan Morris. With Gioacchini and Hoppe over Paul Arriola, I just really have to say, watch the Gold Cup back. They were both clearly better than Paul Arriola during that entire Gold Cup campaign. Both far more dangerous goal threats, far better offensively, taking on players, putting in crosses. Like, I don't feel like there's anything Paul Arriola offers offensively that would make any difference in a game against CONCACAF level opposition. I don't feel like Paul Arriola is good enough. He was on the field during that Trinidad game, and he should not have been recalled after that. For Nicolas Gioacchini, he's been playing very well in League One. He's been getting a lot of consistent game time at Montpellier. He's playing every single week. He's been getting some starts as well. And combine that with Arriola and Morris not having played in, 2 months? Like, I don't think there's an argument for having Paul Arriola over Nicolas Gioacchini. I don't feel like there's an argument over Matthew Hoppe, because Matthew Hoppe, while he is coming back from injury, he has been playing for Valencia. He's been playing in La Liga, probably a top 3 league in the world. Like, he's a very good player. We saw how dangerous he could be. Even in the Gold Cup, he wasn't 100%. He hadn't been playing for Schalke a lot, but he still came in and was clearly better than Paul Arriola. And because of that, I'm just looking at their talent, their ability to make goals happen, and we need to have them in the squad over Arriola. And if you're going to say that Arriola should be in the team because of his work rate, my argument would be Brenden, Arronson, and Christian Pulisic are both very competent pressers. I don't feel like that Arriola stands out over them, and he honestly hasn't been that dangerous. He hasn't been that good of a presser when he's been in the team lately. Like, pressing's more of a coaching thing, than a player-to-player thing, like technical ability. Like, if coach wants you to press, you press. But if you say that Paul Arriola should make the team because he's a defensive winger, you should stop talking soccer. Just straight up, stop talking the sport, because that's such a dumb point. Seriously, think of the last time you've seen a team employ a defensive winger in a game. Just straight up use a defensive winger. Not just use it well, just use one. The only time I can think of where a coach said, I want to put you at a winger despite your limited offensive ability because we really need to stop this opposing threat, is when Mourinho used it at Inter Milan to park the bus against Prime Messi. And Prime Messi isn't walking through the door. Alphonso Davies is out. Like, no offense to Tessmann Buchanan, he might even start for USA, but he's not a guy you need to game plan around. Like, he's the only player I can think of that would be like, oh, we have to prep for this guy. We don't need to prep for Tessmann Buchanan. And even if we did, why would we play a defensive winger to stop an attacking, let's say, left wing back? If you put a defensive winger with, Arriola, he's not an offensive threat at an international level. If you play him there, the attacking threat is so little on that right-hand side, you are encouraging the opposing fullback to get forward because there's so little offensive threat. He has nothing to worry about. He can just get forward to his heart's content. If you had a more offensive-minded threat, someone like a Nicolas Gioacchini who can score at an international level, if he's in that game, Buchanan has to respect that ability. He's not going to be able to get forward as much as possible. But with Arriola, he's just going to bomb forward. There's nothing to worry about. And let's say even if Arriola was a threat, what's a defensive winger going to do? Seriously, when's the last time a team was up 1-0 and wanted to seal up a win and they subbed on a defensive winger? Would they sub on another center back? I can see that. Would they sub on another defensive-minded center mid? I can see that. I'd have Acosta in the squad if it was a 2-game window. But a defensive winger? Especially in today's game. Look at the top teams in the world. Mohamed Salah is the best player in the Premier League, attacking from that right-hand side. Do we really want to have a non-threat there? Messi's been a threat at right wing, Ronaldo from the left wing, Mbappe, Neymar. The wing is such a dangerous position that is the attacking threat for the best teams in the world. Why would you want a defensive winger? I just need to get that off my chest because it is a stupid argument. Lastly, up front, Pepi and Pefok. Pepi, he's self-explanatory. I feel like some people are getting hard on him. Keep in mind, he had an assist last window. It's not like he's been playing terrible. And that Bosnia game, he was coasting through because he didn't want to get hurt, which, I don't know. I don't like that, but it's fine. I go with Jordan Pefok over Daryl DK. Daryl DK's just gotten to West Brom. He's barely played. I don't feel like he's going to be 100%. And Pefok's been scoring pretty well in the Swiss League, which I believe that translates to CONCACAF goals. I've actually liked Jordan Pefok whenever he's played for the national team. He's looked good. He's gotten us some goals. His physical ability's been very hard for the opposition to deal with. And I would like to have Jordan Pefok in the team. I feel like if we play him a good amount of minutes for every single game, he'd pick us up a goal. And comparing him to DK, he isn't playing. I'd like DK in the team. He probably takes that spot eventually, but probably not right now. I wouldn't have him. Josh Sargent, he's been out of form, mostly playing wing. And Jazzy Zarda's only World Cup qualifying goal at this stage is an own goal. So I don't feel like he should be even considered. So yeah, again, Daryl DK probably takes this spot eventually, but right now, Jordan Pefok's the best option. Yeah, that's my opinion on who should be in the team. That's my rationale behind everybody. If I could add more players, he'd probably add like a Sam Vines in as a defensive mid. I would have Kelna Costa, DK, and Jordan Morris in the team as well. But with a 23-man squad, this is a team that I feel comfortable with. For the starting lineup, I feel like Zack Steffen should be in goal. Even though he hasn't been playing much lately, neither has Matt Turner, and Steffen's ability to play out the back, that is very good. Chris Richards has to be one of our center backs, and I'm honestly going back and forth between Miles Robinson and John Brooks. Robinson, he brings a lot of good defensive ability, amazing 1v1 defender, his athleticism off the charts, his recovery speed, all that is great. John Brooks, much better on the ball, actually good on the ball. We can really build up if we're playing with him. And right now I'm looking at the team, and while John Brooks is slow, his 1v1 defending itself isn't that bad, and I believe that he can really help this team. You know, his issue is that he can kind of play down to levels of opposition, so I am a little bit worried about playing him against, say, El Salvador. Like, he could screw up in that game, but at the same time, like, his defensive ability is that, or his disadvantage is that he's really slow, and he'd be covered by Chris Richards, extremely athletic. He'd be covered by Anthony Robinson, extremely athletic on that left-hand side. So, that's good. But at the same time, he does have that ability to, or that problem where he just kind of coast through games. So this is probably the toughest choice in the entire starting lineup. I think for the first game, El Salvador, I definitely lean towards Miles Robinson. It does negatively affect our build-up play, but I'm not too sure that John Brooks would be that good in that game. I feel like I'd start Brooks against Canada, especially considering that Alphonso Davies is out. That's one less great athlete he has to deal with. But for the games against the not higher opposition, I think I'd go with Miles Robinson. Fullback, Serginho Dest. I know he's not been playing at Barcelona, but Scaly has been he's just coming back from, I think he was sick. And Dest, he is still an extremely good player, so I'd have him in the squad. Robinson, I mentioned him on the left-hand side. Defensive mid, Tyler Adams. Weston, McKennie, Yunus, Musah in the midfield. Pulisic, I think I'd have him on the left. Brenden Arronson on the right. Yeah, I do like Brenden Arronson cutting inside more. I wish we'd play him as a 10. I wish we would give a double pivot a try, especially if we did need to rotate Tyler Adams. But, yeah, I feel like Brenden Arronson, we can give him a chance. See how well he does combining with Serginho Dest. That could be interesting. And up top, Ricardo Pepi, especially with how good Jordan Pefok was coming off the bench in the Nations League. So, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with that team. I feel pretty comfortable with the squad. There are a couple of decisions that I'm still not sure about. Kelna Costa, Jordan Morris, maybe they should be in the squad. Daryl DK, maybe we should have another left back. But yeah, I feel like that's the best team we can have. Give us the best chance to win all 3 games. And yeah, that's all I really have to talk about. See ya.